Hello and welcome to State of the Nation. You are watching it here on ZTN Prime. My name is Faith Nyaude. Thank you so much for joining us. In today's episode, we unpack the issues that matter to most Zimbabweans. We are turning our attention to Heroes Day, a very significant national holiday that honors the gallant sons and daughters of Zimbabwe who sacrificed their lives during the liberation struggle. Now, beyond remembrance, this day also presents an opportunity for us to reflect on the meaning of national identity and the legacy of the Liberation War in shaping Zimbabwe's present and as well as the future. Now, as we commemorate this Heroes Day, we ask, what does a Heroes Holiday mean today? Join us right here on State of the Nation as we unpack this and other issues. In studio, I am joined by Farai Marapira, Director of Information for ZANU-PF, Lazarus Sauti, who is a political analyst. We had also invited to our panel Chingetai Guta, who is the Director of Information for MDC, but he unfortunately could not make it. Our discussion, can national commemorations bridge political divides? And beyond the battlefield, we are defining heroism in today's Zimbabwe. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Now, Heroes Day observed every second Monday in the month of August is like a solemn national occasion in Zimbabwe that is dedicated to honoring the men and women who did fight and sacrifice for their lives for the country's liberation. What personal meaning does it hold for you? I'll start with you, Lazarus.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me start by unpacking the issues of national memory and acknowledging that we have to acknowledge the past for us to move, for us to develop. And talking of development here, I'm trying to unpack the issues of unity, social cohesion, issues to do with national harmony here in Zimbabwe. And another key issue that I want to raise is the issue of the preamble of our Constitution of Zimbabwe. It is very clear we have to respect the efforts that were made for this country to be liberated, meaning we have to honor those who fought for the liberation of this country, and the commemoration of the national heroes as well as the defense forces speaks to issues of strategic direction that the government of Zimbabwe is taking, the strategic direction that the people of Zimbabwe are also taking towards promoting the common good, the values of this country, the values that we are a product of violence. We came from the struggle that liberated us from the white minority, and we should celebrate that, and that should shape our destiny as a country.
Now, that is your personal viewpoint, but then we also have the ZANU-PF representative. Heroes Day and Defense Forces is deeply intertwined with the liberation struggle, which ZANU-PF was really central to. What does it mean for your party, ZANU-PF, and what does this day also see in regards to continued relevance in the day and context of Zimbabwe, talking about the liberation struggle, which many are now saying we should move past and not really talk about anymore?
For us as ZANU-PF, the remembrance of the liberation struggle is something that is sacrosanct, because this was a period where people put nation over self and decided to go to war, knowing full well that the bigger percentage was on them failing to come back home. This is one of the greatest signs and examples of sacrifice, self-sacrifice, that was done by our people towards the emancipation of the Zimbabwean people as a whole. So when we look at this Heroes Day, we are looking at remembering the memory of what is important to our nation, what is important for our statehood, which is to have people that will always put this country before self, which is to have scenarios where we ensure that the national goal is more important than whatever differences we may have, which is to make sure that in our differences should not divide us, but they should be like the mix of concrete, different substances, but creating a stronger substrate from that. So we believe that Heroes Day is a day when we honor people that looked over languages, looked over tribes, looked over the issue of totem, and came together to ensure that we would rid ourselves of the yoke of colonialism and become independent. And so many died, so many lie in unmarked graves so many were brutally killed, and so many were hung, even in jails like Chikurubi. So many died that we could be here having this discussion, and it is something that can never go out of fashion. It is something that we can never define ourselves living out, because essentially that is our DNA. We are born of struggle.
Now, in as much as you say we are born of struggle, it's our DNA and we should continue celebrating it. Some critics have argued that in as much as the whole country should be celebrating this special day, it has somehow been skewed and often associated now with just the ruling party. Some argue that, it's no longer a holiday to celebrate Zimbabwean struggles, but rather to just celebrate the ruling party. What is your take and what's your viewpoint in regards to that?
Well, I believe that that angle of saying that this is a ruling party holiday is merely part of the asymmetrical propaganda war that has pervaded us ever since the days of fighting colonialism. This war of attrition into people's minds and people's ideologies has been there for decades. And it has been there to divide, because the people that are divided are the people that are not united. There has never been a point in time where hero celebrations have excluded anyone, or where someone has been not welcome as long as they're Zimbabwean. So this is something, when people went to die there, they did not die for one idea. They died so that we could have so many various ideas, but in peace, love, and unity, in togetherness, with a common grand goal. So at the end of the day, what is important is we should come together to celebrate heroes, despite our differences. The fact that it is being led by a ZANU-PF-led government should not disturb anyone or stop anyone from celebrating the sacrifice that is Heroes Day, the sacrifice that is the state, the sacrifice that is the DNA of the Zimbabwe people.
Lazarus, you are a political analyst. Do you believe that these holidays have been commemorated in the sense that it's now just a ruling party-centered holiday? What is your take?
Maybe it is because of narratives. Remember, reality is socially constructed, and due to the polarity of our politics, polarity of our media polarization and political polarization, different actors push different ideologies. And because of political contestation, sometimes people overlook information that is key, or narrative that can shape the destiny of this country. As I said in my introduction, when it comes to the holidays such as this one, we have to look at the common denominator. The common denominator is people suffered for the liberation of this country. That is first and foremost. And whatever the differences, they should be put aside and maybe focus on the values of the struggle. We have to defend the ethos of the struggle. We should not look at it from a political perspective that is of selfish interest, but of the common good of the generality of this country. From another angle, maybe we can also say we really need to do a lot, especially when it comes to shaping our narratives, especially concerning issues of historical memory. We have our roots, and our roots, our foundation starts with the struggle. As I said, we are a product of the struggle. We are coming from a colonial era that was not good for the black majority, a colonial era that was serving the selfish of the elite few. And what we need right now is to work toward lifting everyone, every citizen from abject poverty. So that's my submission so far regarding that issue.
Now, like you did say, some of the ethos and everything that is happening in Zimbabwe has been shaped around the liberation struggle. Has that been a guiding factor, or has it been a limiting factor in regards to governance and how we have moved forward since that time?
I'm very glad that we have the director here, so he's going to unpack some of the certain issues that are affecting the moral fabric, the social, the political and economic fabric of this country. When it comes to the direction in terms of governance, let's be fair. People fought for freedoms, civil and political liberties. And I want to believe Zimbabweans are enjoying those liberties. Maybe we have disgruntlements here and there because of our different ideological perspectives, because of hegemonic interests. But one thing that is so clear is people are enjoying the civil and political liberties in this country. In terms of economic development, of course, we are seeing some improvements in our country. We are seeing some developments taking place, and I think it is at the right time. The time is now for us to celebrate those achievements, looking back from issues that toward development and the progress that the country is making so far. And maybe if there are some issues that needs to be corrected, we can take it from there.
Now, for like Lazarus to say, you might be able to highlight some of these political, social, economic ills that have plagued our nation thus to date. But then, have you seen how the ethos that the liberation struggle brought about, have those aided the development of the country so far, or has it been a limiting factor in regards to moving forward in our governance?
The war for liberation was a war towards self-emancipation, ideologically, politically, and economically. That is why one of the cornerstone issues at Lancaster was the issue of land. When we look at the issue of land, it was not about just setting a place for a house. It was to be connected to our land because it is our source of economic upliftment as a people. So where we are as ZANU-PF, after undergoing the sanctions, they were a curse, but we are now trying to turn it as much into a blessing, because now we have decided and seen that it is only through our own hands, as the president has said, only through our own sweat, brick by brick and stone by stone, do we turn our country around. So we are now in a scenario where we have seen the importance of attaining knowledge, which is why at almost every mega project that we have, which is being done by expatriates, we have engineers, we have our very own people learning how it is done. And we already have some projects which are being done by locals alone because of this knowledge which we are managing to attain through beneficial associations with other countries that are favorable to us. This is something that colonialism never favored us with. This is something that colonialists, when they became neo-imperialists, never wanted us to have. We were supposed to remain as Zimbabwe and then Africa by extension, which remains a source of raw materials selling for a song. And we remain poor and abject, and we remain a people who look forward to employment and being employees, never being owners of our resources, never being the people at the forefront of benefiting from our personal and own resources, which we own as a people and a country. So what we have now is a pride on this Heroes Day, because essentially we have taken over production, we have taken over all sectors of this economy as a people. You look at gold production, 60 to 70% is being done by small to medium scale miners who are indigenous people. You look at expansion in agricultural production. We have broken all records that the colonialists vaunted and gave themselves self-pride as our saviors. We have blasted away the myth that we can only move forward if there is intervention and the inception of Western business, Western ideology, and Western capital. We have managed to bring ourselves this far by our own laurels. We have managed to do that, and there is never a more apt time to celebrate Heroes Day than this, when we are fulfilling exactly what the people went to war and died for, which is self-actualization.
Now, talking about the people who went to war and fought for the country and everything that we have been talking about thus far, there are certain names that are associated with our liberation war, certain heroes that we always celebrate over and over again. But then the argument now is, are we not also dimming the light on the modern day heroes that we now have? Over the last 4 decades, have there been a change where there's now recognition of modern day heroes as opposed to just the heroes who went to the war and fought for the liberation struggle? That's right.
Okay. Very tricky. So when it comes to honoring our heroes, we have to respect the blood that was shed for this country to be liberated. And remember, we are honoring the past, as I said, and when it comes to honoring the past, we are acknowledging that certain individuals fought for this country, and we are here. We are now enjoying the benefit of their sweat, the benefit of their blood. So to say it's honoring them is dimming the light of the present day heroes is a bit unfair. What I can say is we really need to have a balance, celebrating those heroes who died for this country, as well as acknowledging the contributions of the heroes who are pushing this country forward, those who are giving direction, who are shaping the narratives, who are taking the light forward. Because what we need as a country is not only unit, it is also development. And when it comes to development, even though the characterization can be relative, but we want to see some positive change, some transformative change in our country. There are certain individuals who are doing that, but they are doing that because someone laid the foundation for that work to happen.
Farai, has the narrative of the liberation struggle changed over the past 4 decades?
Essentially not, because we have to accept that we fought a war and we attained political independence. The next battlefront has been economic independence, and we have all but won that war. We have the economy in our hands, and what we now need to do is to continue developing it towards Vision 2030, where it grows to a point where it permeates each and every household and permeates each and every pocket. As to issue of modern day heroes, we do have modern day heroes, but we do not celebrate people whilst they are alive, because patriotism and loyalty is always a day old. So one can only be a hero when they've breathed their last as a patriotic and loyal Zimbabwean to the cause of the Zimbabwean people. People are not honored
because they are still alive.
Whilst they're still alive, they'll turn. Then we have a problem. People are honored posthumously. And we do have people that are fighting, who have been at the forefront of this economic turnaround. We have, you look at the small-scale miners that have started off with their hammer mill slowly but surely, building up their mining produce. Those are heroes. You're looking at the people that started the farming with very little access to capital, with very little machinery on the ground. But we have we are made self-sufficient now. We are wheat self-sufficient. Of course, the government has come in and aided, but it has not been an easy journey to be talking of these economic statistics which break whatever was being vaunted by the colonialists. Tobacco production has broken all previous records. There is no record done by the white man that still stands.
Okay.
Essentially. So these are all heroes, and we cannot name them all, but some will be outstanding.
And they can still be celebrated.
In each and every battle, there are heroes, and we do have these heroes that have turned this economy around.
Now, allow me to just read. We had the core values that took place during the liberation struggle when the people were fighting, such as sovereignty, sacrifice, and self-determination. We want to now put that into context into this day's age. We're talking about youths that are digitally inclusive, digitally smart. They are connected to the global audience. And some of these values do not really align with the values that were there during the liberation struggle. How then can we make sure that the youth also understand these core values and ensure that they integrate them as we continue building this country?
Well, this is why we still have these holidays, so that every generation is taught of the importance of self-sacrifice. Every generation is taught that these freedoms they enjoy were not always there, and they did not come on a silver platter. So until the dawn of time, until the end of time, into the horizon of eternity, we will always speak of the people that sacrificed themselves. You look at another country in the world, it never gets old when they talk of people that sacrificed. And this narrative of us trying to speak of the narrative of the people that died for this country becoming old is not a narrative born of Zimbabwean thought. It is a narrative born of neo-colonialist thought. It is born of a narrative which seeks to disempower our people by moving them away from that which is truly important, that which is essentially what gives them identity. Which is why earlier on I said that the liberation struggle is the DNA of the Zimbabwean person, because this is what defines who we are and where we are at present, as people, as a nation. So in this digital age, sovereignty is seeing what others are doing but never forgetting who you are. Identifying yourself with who you are, not by someone else. Finding pride within yourself for who you are, not looking and admiring a culture which is foreign to you. Because that culture which is foreign to you, which is born and which you choose to admire, has not gone through the same struggles that you have. So sometimes we learn from other cultures. This is the message for the youth. But we never forget who we are and why we are where we are as a people.
Lazarus, do you agree with this same thought process?
Okay. What we need is to tell our story every day, or to tell our stories every day. And I'm glad you mentioned that we are in the digital media era, and that story, from my viewpoint, is not being shaped is according to the ethos of the struggle. Why am I saying so? The digital media landscape here in Zimbabwe is dominated by political messages, but unfortunately these messages are fueling or propagating the agendas of certain actors in our country, and instead of acknowledging the good of this country, the message is distorted. And once the message is distorted, then those who are born free in cause will never have a clear picture of what happened during the liberation struggle. Some actors are amplified. They are treated as godfathers, unfortunately, and because of that, it is creating polarization instead of honoring our present heroes. So my message, to make it clear, is that we need to create content that celebrate the ethos of the struggle. We need to tell that story, and I think it is the role of the media, film included, to do that, so that we are conscientized about what happened during the liberation struggle and how it is affecting political governance in post-colonial Zimbabwe.
Now, earlier I talked about modern day heroes, and you did say people are celebrated after they die. You do not celebrate someone or call them a hero like that while they're still alive. Now, let's move to something that has become a bit of a controversy in the Zimbabwean context. We have witnessed a broadening of what it means to be defined a hero. It's no longer just people who fought in the liberation war who are being declared national heroes and being laid to rest at the National Heroes Acre. It has shifted to recognizing heroes in education, civic engagement, arts, diplomacy, and so forth and so on. Now, this shift has raised important questions about what it means to be a hero, like I did say earlier, in today's context, modern context. So what does it mean for when one is declared a national hero and they didn't fight the liberation struggle? Because a lot of people have been, going head in head about that, to say, how are they even identifying that this person is a hero, and yet they were not even born during the time that the war was fought, or something along those lines?
It's unfortunate that people think that people that did not fight the war are being honored now. Jairus Jiri passed away in 1981 or 82, if I'm not mistaken. He was made a national hero. So this has always been part of ZANU-PF ethos. What we look at is a person's contribution towards the furtherance of our nationhood, a person's contribution towards the betterment of the people as a whole. This is not something modern. This is something that we've always valued as a party. Even some of the people that participated during the war might not have fired a bullet, but they are national heroes. People like Jairus Jiri, who never participated, but they were very instrumental in the empowerment of the physically challenged. These were people who made heroes as early as 1982. So this is not a modern construct. This is something that underpins, and that is one of the values of ZANU-PF as a party. This is one of the values that we have, that wherever one excels towards the furtherance of this nation's identity, and they bring our nation forward in a positive light. They declared a national hero. Ego, to Oliver Mtukudzi, for example, he took our arts sector far and wide. His music is still played all over the world. That is why we acknowledged him as a national hero. So this is not something that is modern. This is part of what ZANU-PF has always been about. We encourage our people in any sector, in whatever they do, to push forward as much as possible, to excel as much as possible. And indeed, those people deserve to be recognized. So this then comes back to that issue where I was saying that when you look at the media construct of the whole concept of heroism, it is not the ZANU-PF construct. It is a propaganda construct which is used to malign and speak ill and paint ZANU-PF in a negative light. This is not the ethos of ZANU-PF.
Where does this media construct come from? It has to be coming from somewhere.
Well, you need to you need to understand that with neo-imperialism comes so many fronts to war. And war is not always the shooting of a bullet. There are so many non-conventional methods of attacking a nation in order to subjugate it. And one of those is the minds of the people, and you control the minds of the people through media. This is why you find that we're at one point when, with the advent of sanctions, a very well-funded private media in Zimbabwe, which was pushing an anti-government agenda. That is what is called asymmetrical warfare. So this is some and part of the disinformation campaign that has been thrown against ZANU-PF. And it is part of that disinformation campaign which has sought to turn the minds of the people to, because the whole intention is to make an average Zimbabwean feel no pride with their identity, feel no pride with who they are. That is why you find that there have been people bold enough to ridicule the whole concept of the liberation struggle, to ridicule the whole concept of the sacrifice that is the liberation struggle, because this is to rob us of our identity and to then try to give us heroes that are elsewhere. Mm-hmm. So this is essentially just part of a continuous battle for the heart and soul of the Zimbabwean people. So
Lazarus, you can you please weigh in on this? I really need to hear what you have to say about it.
The issue of media polarization. So you realize that post-colonial Zimbabwe is suffering from two issues when it comes to media framing of political discourse. We have patriotic journalism, then we have oppositional journalism, and when it comes to patriotic journalism, we are talking about those media actors who reporting for the good of the country, and in some sectors they are denounced as singing for their supper, or as being the mouthpiece or the political echo chambers of ZANU-PF. Then oppositional journalism, we are talking about media houses and media practitioners who are opposing the government of the day just for the sake of opposing. And I think that is the biggest problem that we are facing in this country. To be honest, you have to read all the daily newspapers here in Zimbabwe for you to have a clear picture of what is happening in this country. So what we need to do now is to have a consensus as a nation that whatever the difference we have, the media should report truthfully, objectively. And when it comes to reporting truthfully and objectively, we are now doing away with the political economy of the media. Remember, the media serves certain interests. The media is not innocent. It is not neutral. It serves ideological purposes, the hegemonic purpose of certain political actors. And because of that, the fighting is not benefiting anyone, but it is destroying this country.
So then, from what you're saying, then it means that whatever is said by the media supports whoever is feeding them, so to speak, quote unquote. So who tells the truth now if everyone is trying to just, write and get their supper and their bread?
to contextualize it so that it fits within our discussion, I'm saying there are certain media actors who are using the media platform to remember the heroes of this country, and at the same time there are certain media actors who are denigrating the heroes of this country. But what we need is to have a common ground. We have to acknowledge their roles, the role of the liberation fighters, and maybe pinpoint the weaknesses of the current government so that we can improve, so that we can lift the lives of ordinary citizens from abject poverty maybe to some level of transformation.
Right.
Well, as you were speaking, an issue came to mind of when the Trabablas interchange was finished. The majority celebrated this as a stage in the development of our country, but you'd go onto social media. I will not name names. I do not like to call out people in their absence. I always like to call out people in their presence so that if they feel they can defend what they've done, they'll do so. But those that follow Twitter and such accounts will remember that there were certain personalities posting pictures which were not of Trabablas, trying to portray an image of a poorly built interchange. And unfortunately, to the average reader, they'll believe that this is just an attack on ZANU-PF. It is not. It is an attack on the people of Zimbabwe in the sense that it seeks to derive our people of never having anything to be proud of. But at the same time, I am very, very happy with the maturity and intelligence within our people as a population. The majority independently reverse searched those images and they called out these individuals. But this is part of the continuous agenda which seeks to deprive us of identity, which seeks to deprive us of anything with which to be proud of ourselves as a people, which seeks to say that in ourselves we are not capable and we do not have the capacity to achieve or attain anything, which seeks to paint a picture that we are insufficient, we are not enough. We will always need someone to come from somewhere to assist us. And this is why you find people going to the extent of attacking edifices which we are creating by ourselves, so that they just run that agenda of saying Zimbabweans are not enough. This strikes at the issue of trying to take away our pride as a people. So when we come to Heroes Day, we're speaking of the fact that we managed to shoot the white ideology out of town. We managed to shoot imperialism out of town. We managed to do it alone. We took the guns and we chased them out. So whatever challenges face our country, we are enough. We can face that challenge and we'll take it on. Yes.
And we'll take that as your closing remark as we close up and round it off. Short, precise, and very informative was the main purpose, rather, of the State of the Nation program here on ZTN Prime on this Heroes Day. Thank you so much for joining us. I would like to give a huge thank you to my guest, Farai Madapira, Director of Information, ZANU-PF, as well as Lazarus Sauti, who is a political analyst. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much.
And to my guests, thank you so much for joining us right here on State of the Nation. Do enjoy the rest of your Heroes and Defense Forces holidays. I am Faith Nyaude.